Thank you, Diane. There are plans to dismantle the Department of Education, but a recent development has the president of Michigan's Board of Education calling it callous and devastating. She says the federal government is taking back millions in funding that schools were already promised.
One of the school districts most affected is Flint Community Schools. TV5's Zane Omer joins us live to explain why. Zane?
State education leaders say districts were given until March of 2026 to spend this money. So this pullback in funding comes as a surprise.
The callous decisions that this administration is making, were we expecting, or could we even imagine?
State Board of Education President Dr. Pamela Pugh on the U.S. Department of Education pulling back funding from Michigan schools.
Those dollars have been obligated. Those dollars are owed out, and those dollars are we are now being told by our federal government that they're snatching those dollars back from our children.
According to the State Board of Education, more than $40 million in American Rescue Plan funding and $1.9 million in coronavirus response and relief supplemental appropriations were promised to schools across Michigan. The funding granted to districts hit hard by the COVID pandemic to address needs like mental health and infrastructure.
When it comes to infrastructure, and especially post-COVID, there were issues with supply chain. There was issues with businesses and school districts across this country that were addressing HVAC and ventilation systems in their buildings, doing upgrades. And think about that time. That was a time where you couldn't really find labor. So we want to finish this work.
Out of the funding being clawed back, Flint Schools topping the list with $15.6 million in unspent American Rescue Plan funding. Meanwhile, Bridgeport Spalding has $543,000 unspent ARPA dollars, and Carmen Ainsworth has $234,000 left from CRRSA funding.
These school districts, including Flint, were authorized and given the go-ahead to do this work, and they should be able to finish the work, and it should be funded by the federal government as they were told.
Pugh says the state plans to push back both through people and the courts.
We're figuring that out now, of course, talking to the Attorney General's office, seeing what legal recourse we have there, also appealing to the federal government and to the U.S. Department of Education. This is an opportunity for us to be united for our children.
I reached out to Flint Superintendent Kevlin Jones about what this may mean for their funding and plans. He says the district has allocated all of its emergency relief funding, so they have not had to pay any of that back to the state, adding that an official statement with more details will come out in the next day or so. We'll continue to keep you posted.